Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare. My ex contacted the local police, county sheriff, and ATF and told them that I had assault rifles, drugs, and bomb-making materials. Hey everybody, welcome to Anecdost. People ask Reddit. What is the most spiteful thing an ex has done to you? Number 1. My ex filed a bogus restraining order not allowing me to see my son who I was taking care of while she was at work. She filed that I was going to kill him and then take him overseas. The court accepted the order. 6 months later she called saying, "You need to start watching the baby again." I start watching my son again and then I ask her if my son could spend at least one night a week with me. I was retired from the police force due to an on-the-job injury and so I had the benefit of spending time with my son. She flat out refused. Long story short, after all the false allegations she stated about me, false kidnapping reports, having the police knock down my door and my son and I in shock, years of court proceedings, and even though the courts and state social worker found her to be a scorned woman and a rampant liar, they awarded her full custody. It's been 5 years, 6 months, 7 days, 16 hours, 4 minutes and counting since I last saw or spoke with him. I cannot see my son, which I still pay $400 a month in child support, and he only lives 10 minutes away from me. Number 2. Attempted suicide, or at least claimed to attempt suicide, multiple times purely to get my attention. The first time it happened I called an ambulance, only to have the police call me back 20 minutes later saying she was clearly making the whole thing up. Also regularly threatened to crash her car with both of us in it and to kill my family, and once tried to stab me with a kitchen knife. Once we broke up, she told all of our mutual friends that I was an abusive, cheating bastard, neither of which is even remotely true. By the time I realized what she was doing, most of them were already refusing to talk to me. Of that entire group, she manipulated all but 2 or 3 into hating my guts. Number 3. My ex-wife started effing my best friend of 14 years as soon as we separated, but I allowed the possibility that it happened before that. Not only did she crush my soul but took my best friend who I looked up to. He was also married. I hear they had a baby now and he is still married. Whatever. I hope they both die of shark AIDS. Number 4. Falsely accused of domestic violence and had every journal and photo of my childhood taken from me. Also every piece of physical belongings that I had at the time. It all came out in the wash on the domestic violence thing. The judge started to see it was all a hoax, but damn, the most trying 6 months of my life. Number 5. Me and the lady split a few months ago. Out of nowhere I got a random text from her, which happens to be a picture of her hand grasping a penis of impressive stature. She began to explain how thankful she was that I broke up with her so she could find such a penis. I wanted to be mad, but couldn't, just kind of stared at the picture for a while thinking good for her. Number 6. My ex is a physician and an addict, so she can manipulate with the best of them. When we decided to split, it was quite clear who was in the wrong, and we agreed that the debt she had accumulated through her multiple tours in rehab, well north of $100,000, would stay with her. We didn't have any children, or any joint property to cause any fits over, so the divorce seemed pretty straightforward. She got a lawyer to help push it through, and I was going to try to not get one of my own to save costs. Obvious mistake. I was supposed to go to her attorney's office to sign some paperwork, but was having trouble reaching someone at the office to make a time to stop by. Her lawyer emailed her that day saying that he hadn't heard from me yet, and she forwarded this email to me, without realizing that she was forwarding me the entire email chain that she had with her counsel. Oops. In the email, she very clearly stated that she wanted to slap me with the rehab debt, stating that I was complicit in her drug use. Totally false. Needless to say, I went pretty crazy, and immediately hired the most cutthroat lawyer I could find in the area. My lawyer was awesome, and cheap, and he routinely put her in her proper place. Number 7. I had an ex spread the rumor around my small hometown that I had physically abused her through our relationship. I couldn't figure it out at first, but all of my platonic girlfriends suddenly started hating and avoiding me when I would visit. When I called her out on it at a party, she just started laughing and said, "Oh yeah, I was just mad at you and told people that. Isn't that funny?" All I could do was shake my head and say, "No, bitch. That's not funny at all." I still have to correct people to this day, 2.5 years later. Number 8. I got F'd by both my ex and my $5,000 divorce lawyer. We got an agreement that she did not want anything from me, except $1,000 per month in child support. That's after I came home from work a couple of months earlier to find nothing but an old chair in my house. She had movers come and take everything while I was at work. I said okay, and we left it at that, waiting for the court date where her lawyer was supposed to bring our agreement to the judge. Anyway, I show up in court with my lawyer, we go in front of the judge, and her lawyer goes, "We want child support, alimony, we want the husband to pay the remainder of the car loan, 3 years, on wife's car and then transfer the car to the wife's name, and we also want the husband to pay for my services, because he was the one who filed for divorce, which forced the wife to borrow $5,000 from her parents to pay for my services." Judge goes, "Sounds good. We are done." Meanwhile, my lawyer did not open his mouth or look up from whatever the F he was reading during the entire court session. And this F had audacity to mail me a card later, congratulating me on the positive outcome of my divorce case. So for the next year I paid 75% of what I made, automatically taken out of my paycheck after tax, leaving me with nothing. Sold my car, moved out of my apartment and couch surfed for a while. The day the ex received her last alimony check, we were only married for 2 years, so I paid alimony for a half of that. She married my ex-best friend, which was why I filed for divorce in the first place. Took me 5 more years to pay off her car and her lawyer, so now I only have 7 years of child support left, even though the kid spends 5 days a week with me. And she is currently on husband number 4. Number 9. 3 years after I broke up with my ex, she found out who my new girlfriend is, somehow got her phone number, bought a disposable phone and texted the new girlfriend that I was cheating on her, used a different name and using her previous knowledge of a birthmark location and what I like to do in bed to effectively throw new girlfriend into rage, and she didn't believe me due to the contents of the message. Number 10. My first serious live-in girlfriend cheated on me with several of her past partners. I could never catch her doing it, but for a variety of reasons I knew. I was nuts about her though, and she lied like a politician. Finally, my best friend's older brother nailed her, on purpose, to prove it. Yeah, thanks for that, I guess. I packed up my shit and left, peacefully. But, I had forgotten to grab my art portfolio from behind the couch. I called her that afternoon and said I would be right down to get it. As I pulled into the driveway, she dropped the lit match onto the gasoline-soaked pile of my entire life's collection of artwork. Never did another piece of artwork again. F. That. Cunt. Number 11. Right after high school, there was a girl who liked me but the feelings not mutual. She decided to cope with her rejection using the means at her disposal. She was an assistant manager at a video rental chain. I had stopped renting there, but my rental account was still open. She started checking out movies under my name that I never actually borrowed. They would never get returned, so massive late fees plus replacement fees showed up on my account. She also changed my mailing address in their system so that I would never receive the notices in the mail. It wasn't until close to a year later that I started getting the phone calls from debt collection agencies. It took years to get them to stop, and it negatively impacted my credit because I had no proof that the debts weren't valid, whereas the video chain had computer records of the rentals. Number 12. I dated a hot/crazy girl in high school. I thought that I would be super cool and take her out to my parents' lake house. After we broke up a couple of weeks later. She and boyfriend, whom she dated before, during, and after we were dating, rented a U-Haul van and cleaned out the house of all of the furniture. She even stole my 8-year-old little sister's bunk bed. The only thing left was frig because they couldn't get it through the door. Dad found the house trashed and was pissed. We didn't find this out until a couple of years later when her boyfriend F up and got caught. He admitted to stealing our stuff since the cops were able to match the serial numbers on the washer and dryer. I knew something was up when she called me up around Thanksgiving before we got the news about her boyfriend that she really loved me and really missed me. Stupid me thought this girl was coming around and we would get back and life would be great. 2 weeks later I was giving my report to a detective and she is now in jail. In hindsight, insurance paid us for all of the stuff stolen, which was worth more than the current condition the stuff was in. The cops said all of our stuff was F up beyond repair. FYI, she is currently in jail. And I am now married to the most beautiful woman in the world, and she is my best friend with a baby on the way. Number 13. I dated this guy for about 3 months, December 2008, February 2009, and then I broke it off because he was trying to control me and I wasn't going to go through that again. Before we broke up he was living with me and subletting his apartment. Well, once we broke up I wanted him gone. Unbeknownst to me he had gotten himself a residency permit, which meant I could not legally kick him out. I spent 9 months fighting this. In the meantime he would slap himself in the face until it was bright red and then call the cops and say I was beating him. I would get arrested and then let out the next day when he decided not to press charges. Oh, and he did that about once a month. The apartment was in my name, so I couldn't just leave it without penalty, so I was essentially stuck. He had manipulated the police department into believing him, so nothing I tried to get him to leave worked. Finally, in December of 2009, I had met a new guy. Well, the ex decided that if he couldn't have me, no one could. He deadbolted my bedroom while I was sleeping so I couldn't get out, and he told everyone I know that I had herpes and had a history of getting knocked up and getting abortions, which essentially ended my new relationship. I couldn't take it anymore. I called my dad, had him come pick me up. I lived 1,300 miles from home, broke my lease and got the F out of there. TL, Dr. X manipulated cops into thinking I beat him, had me arrested a few times, locked me in my room, and ruined my new relationship. Number 14. My ex contacted the local police, county sheriff, and ATF and told them that I had assault rifles, drugs, and bomb-making materials. She also told them that I was highly unstable and suicidal, and that I would shoot at any law enforcement that approached my house. In essence, she tried to have me killed. She also contacted my place of employment and said that I was suicidal and dangerous, and contacted various friends, family and organizations with the same story. Number 15. She sent bizarre postcards under random people's names with gibberish written on it, 3 postcards to my work and 3 to my apartment manager's office, which weren't even mailed but dropped off. She also sent a manila envelope to my apartment manager's office, which happened to be porno magazines, which was also dropped off. She called Pizza Hut to deliver $100 worth of pizza to my work, which wasn't paid for at all. She also got me on a mailing list for erectile medicine and Victoria's Secret, which got sent to my work. She also took a ton of food items out of my apartment which was not hers, claiming it was hers because she bought them, using my money. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.